can do it in the chat box or just by speaking it. So hello Maria. Maria, you write, can one intentionally work towards a glimpse, or is it only by grace? Your intention is very important, Maria. You know that in your daily life, when you have a certain intention, it sort of drives you towards what you are intending. So the intention is to realize the truth, to realize the happiness that doesn't come and go. The intention is not a personal intention, it's an intention that's just coming from love. It's coming from our inner intuition of the divine. We are the self, and so within us there is the intuition of the self, and this is what intends us to come to the full revelation of the self. What gets in the way is the mind and its intention to pursue some feelings, to pursue something worldly. And when the intention, the divine intention, is hijacked by the personal intention to seek experiences, then we need, yes, to bring back our intention on the right course. And yes to grace. The intention to come upon truth, to wake up from this sorrow, this intention comes from grace. It doesn't come from a person, because a person is something experienced, and there is no personal intention. The intention resides beyond the personal impression, beyond what is perceived, beyond the experiences. So already when there is a divine intention, is an intention to look towards the revelation of consciousness, towards the fulfillment. That intention comes from grace. And it is grace that speaks to us the direction to follow. It speaks to us in our depth of being. At the heart level, it guides us. It gives us patience, it gives us endurance, it gives us resignation. Not a resignation meaning being able to bear through the difficult times that come. Not as a subject, but with an understanding that this is our path. Our path, I would say, most likely for all of us, has its moments of testing, where there is a reactivity that arises, and there is a sense of danger, a sense of threat, and a sense of loss and inner sorrow. That all of that is part of our path, and there is a certain qualities of surrender, of patience, of understanding, that allow us to navigate through these difficult times without seeking to bypass them. Everything that arises to us is from grace, and it's for us, meant for us to live it fully. So yes, the intention is from grace. It is very crucial to our direction towards the self, and it is all grace. And towards the, well, along our journey, along our path, there are all sorts of insights that come to us, understandings that come to us, and these understandings come from grace. And these understandings culminate towards a moment where the entire self-structure is no longer there to be found, meaning the me structure. Maria, you're right. A glimpse is an experience, ? Is a glimpse an experience? One could be established in truth without glimpses. You could say that a glimpse is an experience, but not at the mind level. It is like when you experience eating a mango, it's different from experiencing seeing the mango or reading about a mango or planting a mango tree. The experience of eating a mango, tasting the mango, is a particular experience that has a direct revelation of what a mango is. Of course, you can also look at a mango, plant a mango, read about mangoes, make paintings of mangoes, but it will not deliver to you the taste of the mango. So a glimpse is an experience of consciousness, of the universality of being, of the wholeness of being. And in that glimpse, there is first a clear seeing. Well, it depends on, there are all sorts of glimpses. I'm talking about a glimpse of the self, because there are many glimpses that are subsequent, and also that may precede a glimpse of the wholeness of being. In that glimpse, there is a clear seeing that there is no personal self, that entire realm was just a dream realm. And at the same time, there is a direct seeing into the vastness of being, the glory of being as oneself. So yes, a glimpse is a particular type of experience. It is an experience that is not at the mind level. There is no mind at that moment. One could be established in truth without glimpses. From ignorance, meaning from the belief of being a person, and from the feeling that I'm a mortal person, a mortal body mind, to come to be established as the self without glimpses would only signify that you went from ignorance to complete establishment and stabilization as the self. Now, the answer to your question is yes, it is possible. But in terms of the facts, the data reveals that there may be a glimpse that to a certain samadhi, a certain understanding, But it's not sufficient to stabilize you in the self, because there are all sorts of vasanas that still have to arise and be liberated and be freed from your psychology, from your being. So theoretically, yes, one could be established in truth in one glimpse, but practically that's a different matter. I would say that it is extremely rare, none that I heard of, where in one glimpse there is an establishment in the self, in truth. So I hope this answers your question. Oh, no, you asked some more here. So how does one work towards glimpses? You are right now working towards glimpses. You are right now inquiring, questioning, looking, wondering. So the question is, what is the reality of my experience? Is the reality of my experience what appears? Like right now, there is a perception. There may be bodily sensation. All these are objects. You perceive perceptions, they're objects. There are subtle objects and gross objects. Gross objects would be like a table or a chair or the pizza. Subtle forms would be thoughts, sensations, feelings, images. Are you what appears? Or are you that knowingness to which and out of which all appearances appear? And you need to become clear that your angst and your sense of lack is connected with the belief that consciousness is personal, that there is such a thing as Maria's consciousness and Magdi's consciousness and Lee's consciousness, etc. That these are separate consciousnesses. The sense of separation and the sense of lack and isolation is due to the identification. The identification as a man, as a woman, as a person, as a wife, as a husband, whatever, the identification. It is possible to experience whatever is appearing without identification. Like you experience in your night dream all sorts of appearances, all sorts of images, events. Sometimes maybe you take a trip in your night dream, you travel to Hawaii or whatever you do. But you don't stay as that person. If you dream of a pink flying elephant, you're not the pink flying elephant. You are consciousness. So the challenge, or maybe the contemplation, is to live according to the non-identified consciousness. And the glimpses will come to you. You don't need to be searching for glimpses, they come to you. Maria, you're right, inquire into what is the reality of my experience. Yes. And keep in mind, Maria, that there is one reality. We all know that deep within us, that there is one reality, one truth. And you also know that reality is not something that comes and goes. So it's what, wherever you look, is there. When you look at the day is there, but only the daylight, but it's only there for a few hours. When you look in the evening, for the daylight, it's not there. When you look at your partner is there only when they're not at work. When they are at work, you look, they're not there. What is it that's always there? Ask yourself, what is it that's always there? And you will come to realize that it is consciousness, awareness. Yes? So consciousness is real. And what is it that is conscious? It is I that is conscious. I, consciousness, I'm conscious. So the contemplation is, what is it that is real in my experience? And you will come to the contemplation of consciousness, the reality of consciousness, and that this consciousness is I. And that this consciousness that is I is not contained in a body-mind. The body-mind impressions arise in it. Like right now, a certain bodily sensation may arise. You do not arise in it. It arises in you. Okay, Maria. Thank you for your questions. Ananda, you write, I have loved to contemplate a variety of terms over the years. I have loved. Oh, okay.
It jumps. Oftentimes, it seems to jump up there when I'm not finished. So
look
at the bottom now.
Oh, okay. So they're together. So read the top and the bottom. Yes.
Yes.
I have loved to contemplate a variety of terms over the years: suchness, reality, awareness, Buddha mind, Tao, an eclectic collection of terms. They all seem to be of one taste. Yes. Do you sense there is any benefit to sticking with the language of one tradition? No. No.
Good.
No. Simply stick with what resonates for you. Whatever resonates for you in your heart of heart is what you contemplate. You don't need to stick with any tradition. Yes. So follow the tradition of the heart, the tradition of what resonates within you. It doesn't matter if it's Taoist language or Buddhist language or Sufi language, etc. Whichever way it unfolds. It doesn't have to be just one thing forever. It can change. This can change. Yes. But
Sometimes
it's always
it's
always the same thing in a way. It's always the same non-thing. You're always contemplating truth, reality, God, Atman, etc. The non-dual consciousness, etc. Sometimes a certain language, maybe more poetic language of the Sufis, or maybe a little bit more some of the more the higher some of the higher reasoning teaching, that sometimes available in Advaita may resonate for you. It can be diverse, and it can change. And yes.
Nice. I was gonna for once I was gonna say, well, fine, you've answered my question, and that's it. But when you mentioned God, that brings up a different issue, which is sometimes I think it's like I have a grudge about God because of church and stuff,
Yeah. Well,
so
maybe
there's a value in looking at that and trying to find its higher meaning.
No, because the term God has been so misused by the religions, meaning by traditions, organizations that wanted to peddle religion. So no, right. You could maybe maybe you can look at the American Indian. They talk of
Oh,
the
great spirit.
spirits. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
no. I wouldn't be so bothered by that. If you're feeling a little something about the term God, then go use something else. I use a mixture of terms.
Yeah.
Because
Because lots of people, God still has meaning. They may have grown up in a beautiful church environment, and it meant something to them.
yeah, it refers to reality, truth. You know, Jesus used a lot of terms that maybe were relevant for his era, his time of the Father and the Son and all that.
Oh yeah, right. That stuff. Yeah.
That's sure. At the time, maybe that's what resonated for the tribes that he was speaking with.
Good point. Yeah. And even for Yogananda and the Self-Realization Fellowship, they talked about, whatever.
Yeah.
Even in that time, it might have been more relevant.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Ananda.
And I see there's other questions. So okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, Ananda. Hello, Rhonda. So, Rhonda, you're right. The mind is a limited tool, yet we use it to question and know the truth. How is that possible? Well, for a surgeon, the scalpel is a limited tool, but it is used to as part of the tools that are available to perform a certain medical procedures and operation in the hands of a good surgeon. That limited tool is very useful. So the mind is a good tool when it is used in the hands of the right surgeon, the right user of the mind. So there is in our satsangs, we use the mind. We use metaphors. We use images. We ask questions, but we ask certain types of questions that bring you to the contemplation of truth. So the mind can be a tool for higher reasoning. It's using the term that Atmananda Menon, he relied a lot on the mind in his teaching, in bringing, using the mind to bring you to see through the falsehood of your beliefs. And the mind stops at that moment. When there is an understanding, the mind stops, and then you fall into understanding. You go into the understanding, which is the no mind, which is sort of entering consciousness, entering the truth, which is an insight. Whenever you enter the truth, you're having an insight into the truth. In a way, the Sahaja Samadhi is an uninterrupted insight. It's like you're no longer coming and going out of the insight, out of being in the sight of consciousness, actually being consciousness. It's much more proper to say being consciousness than being in the sight of consciousness. So Rhonda, it is possible because that's consciousness's design. Consciousness designed the mind to help in navigating this waking dream, and also in a much more significant way for our conversation, the mind is useful for inquiry. And the answer is not in the mind. The answer is always in consciousness. The question may be in the mind, but the question that may be in the mind is about consciousness. mean, I'm talking about the questions that are related to Advaita. So the questions, they may be from the mind, but about what is beyond the mind. And the question is always about consciousness. So the mind can formulate a question about consciousness, and the mind can understand consciousness. It can understand consciousness, and when it understands consciousness, it dissolves. So understanding consciousness is a no mind. It's the end of the mind at that moment. The mind may rise again, but at the moment of understanding, it's just consciousness. So yes, that is possible, and it is possible. That's the grand design. Okay, Rhonda, I hope this answers your question. Let me just make sure that, okay. All right, so that's... hello, Marianne. I just see your question. Let me copy it and let me see, where is it? Oh, here it is. So that others can see it. Let me see. Okay, so Marianne, okay, so you write what is the mind defined as in this explanation? So in this explanation, I am referring to the mind capacity to reason, meaning to think thoughts about consciousness. By the mind in general, we refer to thought. Yes, so we refer to thought. As I mentioned previously in some other meetings, that I also refer to the mind as the whole phenomenal realm, meaning not just thought, but perceptions and sensations as well. But in the specific conversation that we were having a minute ago about the mind being a tool to know the truth, the tool of inquiry, I am referring to thought that is contemplating consciousness, that is asking questions about consciousness. Meaning the thoughts that are looking towards consciousness, that are asking questions to consciousness, about consciousness. Okay, Marianne, may answer to your question. Rhonda, you're right. So the mind dissolves and then reappears constantly in the waking state. Same with the person. So is it just coming back to the contemplation every time you remember? The mind dissolves and reappears constantly in the waking state. In the waking state, the mind, yes, is an appearance and a disappearance. Thoughts appearing and disappearing, perceptions appearing and disappearing, feelings, sensations appearing and disappearing. Yes. So yes, the mind dissolves and reappears constantly in the waking state. Same with the person, yes, because the person, when you say same with the person, Rhonda, The person, basically, we're talking about thought, sensations, and perception, because there is no such thing as a person. A person is this current thought, or this current perception, or this current sensation. And there is a belief that there is a person, that somehow these thoughts are referring to a reality that we call a person. In fact, these thoughts only refer to a reality, but that's not a person, it's consciousness. And consciousness is not a person. Consciousness is universal. So is it just coming back to the contemplation every time you remember? You come back to the contemplation whenever you remember, and as whenever it's available to you. You come back to the contemplation because of your love for truth. Your love for truth is non-negotiable. You will not let go of that. You stay with your love for truth in everything that you do. You recollect truth, you recollect consciousness, you honor consciousness, you live as consciousness, you think about consciousness, you contemplate consciousness. So yes, and not just when there is a crisis in your life, not just when there is a challenge, but during your regular waking state, when there are no emergencies, you contemplate God, contemplate truth. Whichever way it speaks to you, Rhonda. You're right, Rhonda, I get upset when some thoughts hook me. Well, don't get upset about getting upset. And eventually you won't get upset. It's okay to get upset sometimes. It's not such a big deal, you know. Maybe it's a way of discharging a little bit, you know. Just don't go bonkers. It's okay. It's no big deal. We get upset.
That's the very advanced teaching. That's the very advanced teaching. When everything is okay, it's okay. It's okay. You know, it's
yeah. Consciousness. Consciousness is love, and so you're loving yourself. When you get upset about yourself being upset, you know, you could love it, you could allow it, you could say, okay, so what, you know. In the end, it's important to come to understanding, and you will, that really nothing of value is being hurt. Nothing of value is being is at stake. You will come to this understanding because sometimes we think about our hurt of 2 hours ago or 2 days ago, and we wonder where it is. It's like we want to feel the hurt again now, just so we know that it was real. But in fact, we can't even do that. So it's not a big deal. You know, what matters is to realize that doesn't come and go, that is not tainted by the feelings, by the emotions, by whatever arises. Awareness, presence is all allowing. It's an open field. It has no boundaries. So when there is a certain upsetness, there is ample space in awareness for this upsetness to be like a cloud in the space, you know.
That's beautiful.
When
Yeah.
you come to the cloud, you don't hurt yourself. You just it's like there is nothing there, you know.
Mm.
So, Rhonda, don't worry about it. Don't worry about getting upset, and don't get upset about being upset. Let it be, and in time you will find that, oh, there is less and less upsetness. And then who cares about upsetness? Like, okay, what's the big deal? You get upset, what does it do? You know, you might as well water the plants. It's a better activity. Okay. Ananda, you wrote, the mind encounters reality, truth, borderless consciousness. Then it becomes sort of transparent. Yes, the mind, when the mind encounters consciousness or truth or reality, it dissolves. Because the mind is a structure. When it comes to consciousness, consciousness is structureless. The structure was can't stay in the structureless. So the experience of being established in the self is the Sahaja Samadhi. There are no objects. There are no objects. It's all consciousness, because all the objects have returned to their source, because everything has come to the self, has come to consciousness, and it dissolves in consciousness. This does not mean that you walk into the wall, or instead of driving your car, you drive the neighbor's car. No, I don't mean that way. It's not something that you see with your eyes. It's a silent understanding. Experiential, a living truth, this silent living truth.
To put it a little philosophically, what just comes to my mind is, so that's what non-duality kind of means. The mind is not taking objects, it's not doing its usual thing anymore of taking subject, object.
The mind dissolves. And it's, let's say, it dissolves in the self. I think in Buddhism they speak of mind with a minuscule m and capital M mind. They use those two terms. The big mind is consciousness. So the little mind dissolves in big mind. There's only big mind. The truth is big mind. And the untruth isn't.
It's like the mosquito is outside and the screen door is shut.
Maria, you're right. Sometimes decisions in everyday life seem so serious, as if wrong decisions will lead to disaster. Yeah, I know what you mean. And I say no big deal, but perhaps not so convinced. It's okay to say no big deal, even when you are not so convinced, Maria. But in fact, it is no big deal. You know, your conviction that is not such a big deal, there is nothing so serious, so crucial, no disasters, that will become clear to you at some point. It become more convincing, and even beyond that, there will be the end of needing anybody to be convinced. You know, the whole thing about being convinced or not being so convinced will also drop away. But for now, Maria, to say no big deal, even when you're not convinced, it's okay. But also notice, maybe you can notice after the fact, that strangely, sometimes what you thought was a wrong decision, you will find that it's okay. What's happening down the line is okay. Even when some folks maybe got upset or irritated, or you felt that maybe, oh my goodness, maybe I hurt them, that in fact it was not such a big deal. You know, with our hurts, we love our story. We love to hold on to hurts and create a hurted person, a hurting person. This is maybe all like a call for love. Maybe we need to be hugged or something. But I remember, like, my mother, whenever I hugged her, it was really funny. She would put her elbows up like this, and I said, "Mom, why are you holding your elbows up?" But she couldn't help it. She, of course, she loved me. She loved me hugging her, but she put her elbow in the way. Anyways, she had 6 boys, so she had to, I don't know, maybe protect herself from the guys somehow. I don't know. But yeah, the decisions also, Maria. Decisions. The way we make decisions is that we look at the options. When we're thinking about this way or that way, we're looking at all the factors, all the various parameters that may be important in our decision making, and we take our time in gathering the information. But sometimes, no matter how hard we try, it seems like we exhausted. We looked at it enough, we look, and then we make a decision. So the decision is not like a person is making the decision. In a way, it's the data. The data is making the decision. You follow? It's like the information you're gathering speaks. It's saying, okay, this, and if I invest in that direction, the return is so and so. If I invest there, there's a high return, but there is more risk, etc. At some point, there is enough data that has been presented to you, and you make the decision. You're making the decision, not a personal decision. Of course, you're trying to make the best decision, the decision that benefits you and benefits the vaster possibility of people involved, in the transaction. So you're taking everybody in consideration, including you. So it is that intention. The intention is to make a decision that benefits everybody, including you. A win-win decision. But the decision is not made by a person. It's made by the data that's being gathered, by all the information that you've gathered. And sometimes you make a decision, and then a week later you get some information that it wasn't available to you a week ago, or you didn't look in that direction a week ago, and you say, oh my God, I made the wrong decision. I should have done this and that and that and that. But no, you did not make the wrong decision. You made the right decision that was appropriate at the time. You see, you can't make a decision based on information that's going to come to you in 2 weeks, except if you have the time to wait for 2 weeks, and if you know that this information is coming in 2 weeks. But when you don't have the time to wait 2 weeks, and when you don't know that there is some information that may be coming to you in 2 weeks, then you're making the decision based on the information that you have now, and there is no such thing as making the wrong decision. I don't know if I'm getting off your question, but what in your question, Maria, or in your you're saying that decisions that are so serious and they lead to disaster. Now, a disaster for whom? You know, a disaster for whom? Yes, Marianne, I'll be there in just a minute. The disaster is always when you have some personal ideas about how things should be. There are no disasters. You know, there can be, I mean, we call them disaster. There can be an earthquake, and it happens. It happens every year, and people's and homes and livelihood just is. You could say that's a disaster, but who is it that's saying it's a disaster? And who caused the disaster? You see, it's all God's will. It's all the consciousness's play, consciousness's dream. We imagine that it's really a disaster when people die, but people die all the time. It's not a disaster. And people are born all the time. It's not a disaster. People are sick all the time or get healthy, etc. There are no disasters. This is just this is how the waking dream is. What you need to realize is what doesn't come and go. That's what is the guide, is the light, But thought that is rooted into me and him, me and her, my life, my money, my job, his money, his sister, his cousin, his daughter, these sorts of thoughts are not inspired by the reality. The reality is consciousness, and we are all consciousness. And so we live in relationship with everybody as consciousness, doing our best and loving and helping and being in kindness with everybody else. But this does not mean that we are everybody's guardian angel or savior. We do the best we can, and everything is okay, whichever way it unfolds. Okay, Maria. Let me see, there was a question from Marianne. Let me see if I could, again, copy and okay, so Marianne, you're right. Let me see. Where is it? I thought I pasted. Oh, here it is. Okay. So let me go back here. So, Marianne, you're right. You said once that what we love in other people, in our spouses, children, etc., is a consciousness we recognize. Yes. But we seem, that we recognize or we don't. But it's always a consciousness that we love, yes. But it seems to me we also love their personalities, the way they talk, think, move, act. Yes, I find this a bit confusing. You say I find this a bit confusing. How, if we love the consciousness in them, then how come we also love their personality, the way they talk, the way they think, they move, etc. Now, it is confusing, Marianne, because you may be perceiving the form, meaning the way your partner or your family or your friends, the way they look, the way they walk, the way they talk, etc., to be something else than consciousness. It is consciousness that is appearing as that. Consciousness appears as all appearances, as it's a light. It's like the light of the sun shines onto the different planets, and so it is the light of the sun, the light of consciousness, that appears as all these forms. Like in your night dream, everything that appears in your night dream is made out of you, the dreamer, and it's not separate. So the personalities and the manners and the ways of people that you love that because that's also an expression of consciousness. Now, you know, we love it when we have friends or family or acquaintances or partners at work that are very sweet and gentle and kind and considerate and honest and fair, etc. We love that. We find that there are just beautiful people. But sometimes there are behaviors that shock us, you know, anger or some violent action, or that also appears in you know, we meet people that are like that, are angry or jealous or whatever, and we don't want to interact with them, but at the same time we feel empathy for them. We feel sorry that they're getting angry. We feel we hope that they recover from their emotion, or if they're being violent, we hope that they come to reason and they stop acting that way. Because even then, even when there are personalities and behaviors that are not very close expression of consciousness, they're more an expression of the me, you know, the identity, the identified me, my life, my money, my girl, my etc. Even when we perceive that, we also feel empathy, because also that is consciousness speaking. It's consciousness that is expressing all of that. So the confusion may be as you perceive consciousness and the form to be separate. Notice, Marianne, that everything that you experience, all the friends, the people, whatever you experience, you're experiencing them as your very experience. I know that there is a thought that they're out there, but in fact, you're always experiencing your experience. And your experience of the people, of the dogs, of the trees, of walking in nature, of food, of everything you experience is an experience of consciousness. So all these personalities, the way that people talk and think, all of that is an experience of the self. So you're always experiencing the self as all forms. And so there is a tenderness in that. Okay, Marianne, that's how I, looking at your question now. Maria, you're right. How come we're attracted to some people more than others? Yeah, I was just talking about that. Is the attraction coming from the little me? No. Attraction, let's put it this way, that there is an attraction that has no personal interest, and there is an attraction that has a personal interest. The attraction that has a personal interest is contaminated. Is contaminated with the virus of separation, and so there is a distaste for separation, because separation is tears us apart from the wholeness. Of course, there is no reality to that, but the impression is that we are being taken away from the arms of our mother, and so we are yearning for her. Where is she? Where is she? We want our mother back. And in most cases, we don't know a way out of that. We believe that that's our lot as human beings, and we just live in ignorance. But when we start contemplating the truth, like in this satsang here, we have come to an understanding that there is a mistake in our identity. We are mistaking ourselves to be a mortal body mind. We're mistaking ourselves to be something that appears, and we're overlooking the formless reality of the self. That's already a very high teaching and a high understanding that you are arriving to. And when you start to contemplate that teaching, then you will find that you are more and more drawn towards the ocean. When you are less and less drawn towards the separate self, towards me and you. Oh, what did he do? She did this and he did that, and oh, you know, them and this, and all the gossip and all the blaming and the accusations, and I'm innocent and all of this. Oh, you will find yourself less and less drawn to that. It's a natural flow of towards the ocean. All the rivers and streams are flowing towards the ocean. So the fact that it is all consciousness does not mean that there aren't discriminations and understanding and distinctions, you know, in the world body mind. For example, if for eating, you eat food that is boiling hot? Do you drink tea that is boiling hot? No, because if you drink tea that is boiling hot, it will result in you getting burns in your mouth, and then you have to seek some help, and you have pain and all that. So no, the fact that it's all consciousness does not mean that there isn't discrimination. There is discrimination, which is not a separation. It is part of the play, part of the show. And the more you play according to consciousness, the sweeter and the happier and the more tender and the more peaceful and happy is your waking dream and your night dreams. Hello, Holly. Holly, you're right. I just got back from the memorial service of a good friend, and I have seen a number of acquaintances pass away recently. I noticed a heightened fear that my time could come anytime. You've talked about death as a great fear before, and so I feel there is some insight to be gained from this situation. Yes, Holly, you are right now being visited by a very good, very loving visitor. The death, the loss of friends, and the thought of death knocking on your door. This is very good. what dies? Let me put it this way. What is real does not die. What is unreal is dead already. There is a saying like that in the Upanishads, I think. I don't know, Ananda, do you know it? Do you know that saying? Or anybody knows that
I
saying?
don't know. I was thinking Bhagavad Gita.
The Bhagavad, no, yes, what did I
Yeah.
say? Yes, I meant the Bhagavad Gita, yes. Anyways, so this is an important, Holly, to look at that. You have to bring death directly to your experience. Don't keep it away. Oh my God, my death. Bring it. So invite death to come over, to come to visit you. Stay with it. That the thought, the experience of death, whatever it signifies to you. I know it. You said you want to keep it away, and it's a little bit scary. It may be. Bring it. Tell it to come over. Be with it. Become familiar with it. The thoughts, the feelings, the sensations, the vibration, the energetics, just the whole dimension. Be with it. If you can be with it with that knowing, with the unknowing mind, because you cannot be with death with your knowing mind, because the knowing mind says, oh my God, death is coming to kill me, I don't want it. That will prevent you from being with death. So open yourself up to it. Say, okay, I don't know you. You're a new visitor here. Some of my friends they're not there anymore, very close friends of mine, gone. And there is this feeling, this question, this energetic of death is arising. So bring it over. Have it sit with it. And contemplate that what you are is this aware presence that right now perceives these feelings, perceives these thoughts. Yes? And that what perceives everything, perceives the weather, perceives sensations in the body. It's like the images on the screen, they come and go, but the screen never comes and goes. The reality that perceives is not something that comes and goes. It's eternal. So contemplate that you are this presence, and that this presence is formless. Yes? Has no gender, no age, no weight. And what dies is a form. Forms die. Like an oak tree or plant in the yard. They have a cycle, the cycle of birth and death, of the form. But it doesn't apply to the formless. Life and death of the form is part of this waking dream that we call the universe. Volcanic eruptions that cover the thousands or hundreds of miles with ash, and then out of the ash grows new growth, new vegetation. Grasses grow, and because the grasses grow, then you have all sorts of animals that come and feed on the grasses, and because the animals are feeding on the grasses, then the predators and the lions and the hyenas, they come and they feed on them, and there's a whole cycle of birth and life and death in that realm. But you are not a man or a woman. You are consciousness. You are the unborn. Yes? But you have to feel into death. Eh? Feel it. Not just think about it and keeping it as an object. Bring it in. Have it live within you, in your entire space.
Did we all lose Magdi? Maria, you don't have a camera? It would be fun to see you.